Look at the 35th verse. But love your enemies, do good, lend, expect nothing in return. Your reward will be great in heaven. You will be the sons of the Most High. For, here comes sports fans, for he is kind to the ungrateful and the evil. Be merciful even as your Father is merciful. If you've heard me teach much, you know that I've been called to tell you guys, people who are believers, that God's not angry at them. And he's not. You think he is, but he isn't. And he knows you. Because of the imputation of Christ's righteousness and the blood of Christ shed on the cross, no matter how many windows you broke and are still breaking. I absolutely loved Randy's illustration. It's mine. I'm going to give him credit the first time, and after that I'm going to say, as I always say. You think it would work if I changed the sister to a brother? Whatever. No matter how many windows you've broken, God's not angry at you. He'll never be angry at you, ever again. But because everywhere I speak, there are people who aren't Christians, I feel constrained to say, but listen, if you're not a believer, you ought to be afraid. You ought to be very afraid, because you're living under the wrath of a holy God. I'd do business with him if I were you. Now, I still believe that. But can we talk? I'm going to say it softer from now on because of this text. You ever think that maybe God likes gays and lesbians more than we do? Or that God likes Dan Brown, maybe even read the Da Vinci Code? I mean, why did a Brown have to write it? That's crazy. Why couldn't a Smith write that book? And we get our underwear too tight and we're going to boycott the world and all in Christendom's going to come down. Have you read that book? That's a fun book. Stupid book. But listen, it's fiction. And then you watch him being interviewed, and he says that while it's fiction, it's based on fact. And you're going to go, what? Have you ever read a history? Do you have any idea about the manuscripts? Do you know anything about Gnosticism? You don't have a lick of sense. You don't have the brains of an amoeba. How can you write that good? That's crazy. But you ever think that God really likes Dan Brown more than we do? Or that he likes abortion? I hope not. That God, if I were God, I'd kick the world to pieces. That he likes abortionists better than we do, and pornographers better than we do, and the atheists who won't come to church, who mow their lawns on Sunday better than we like. Do you ever think that? That's what this text says about God. It isn't saying God is good to his people. We know that. He's talking about God is good to the people who aren't his people. How about that? He says to the ungrateful and the evil that he shows mercy, and we're to be merciful the way he is merciful. One time Abraham Lincoln visited a prison camp and the hospital of Confederate soldiers, and Southern boys aren't happy with that sort of thing. We're not even sure it's over yet. And Lincoln came, and they were irritated about it. And instead of saying anything, Lincoln stood in the ward and he wept. And their hearts broke before him. That's what the cross is.